And welcome back, YouTube. This is Buster here with something completely different today. Today I'm going to be doing my top 10 favorite Dragon Ball Z villains. Yes, I'm going to be doing a top 10, throwing my hat into the ring. And I'm just figuring in celebration of the new movie, Resurrection Frieza, the new series Dragon Ball Super, I figured that this would be a perfect time to do this. Now remember, this list is 100% opinion, so this list will definitely not be will not agree with your list, and there's going to be some characters that are going to be completely random, like, why did they choose that character? It's because I like this character. And remember, this is pretty much just to have fun. If you'd like, I'd like to see your top 10 list in the comments below. And remember, this is just Dragon Ball Z. This is not Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball GT, and I'm not including the movies in this list. If you want, I'll do a top 10 movies list in the future. And I think that about covers it. Alright, let's get started. Number 10 is Jace from the Ginyu Force. Now, this is one of the ones that's going to be a little bit tougher to defend. I don't know why, but I've always liked Jace. I don't know if it's the 80s rocker style that he's built upon, if it's just because he's red, if he has white hair, I don't know why. I've always liked Jace. He's the second to last member of the Ginyu Force to survive, so that's kind of cool. He was killed rather quickly. He wasn't a tough fighter. But it's just something about Jace. It's just kind of hard to explain why he's number 10 on my list. Number 9. Speaking of the Ginyu Force, we got Recoome. I don't have a personality card of him. I think they only ever did 1 or 2 in the old Score TCG. And I think it was a promo if I remember right, but I could be wrong. Recoome was the Napa of the Ginyu Force. This guy was awesome. He had an epic battle with Vegeta, and that's why he's number 9 on my list. Purely for that fight against Vegeta. When Goku came, yeah, he was pretty much instantly beaten, but actually the entire Ginyu Force was instantly beaten except for Captain Ginyu. But Recoome with that epic battle against Vegeta, probably one of the better battles of the Dragon Ball Z universe. He had it all, and he was the only human member of the Ginyu Force. Everybody else had like these weird colors: red, blue, green, purple. He was human. He was relatable, and he was a beast. He took Vegeta to the limit, and like I said, he was the Napa of the Ginyu Force. Pretty cool. Number 8. Ah, yes. Rattus, the villain that started it all. I like this guy because in the series, when you've seen him, it was first off, to see another Saiyan, that was incredible at that time. Second off, to find out that it's Goku's brother so early in the series is like mind-blowing. It's like, whoa, you had to fight your brother? And this is the first of many times that Goku was to die. Spoilers, sorry if you haven't seen the first few episodes of Dragon Ball Z, but this was the first of many times that Goku was to die, and at this early in the series, it's like, oh my god, the main character just spit the dust right away? How can they do that? And then also kidnapping his son, Gohan, was actually also very interesting, and also to find out that that he was working for this larger federation trying to sell the planet Earth by annihilating all human life. That's just epic. Which was a precursor to Napa and Vegeta, and a precursor to the eventual fight on Namek. So that's why Raditz comes in at number 8. Number 7, we got Vegeta. Now this is one of those characters. Now the only reason why he's so low on the list is purely because he turns anti-hero later in the series. If he would have been a villain, and just a villain, pure villain, he probably would have made it much higher on this list, but the pure reason that he became an anti-hero is the reason why he's on this, so far down on this list. And that fight where he took Goku to the limit in the Saiyan Saga was epic. You know, probably the best fight up to that point. Let's see, and he was the first person outside of... No, sorry. I was going to say he was the first person outside of Goku, but no. He was the third Saiyan to ever go into monkey form, which I found to be epic. And and Yajirobe had to save the day on that one, so that, you know, our heroes were useless against his monkey form, which I found really impressive. And that he was able to control himself in that monkey form, that is what was truly awesome about that. You know, no one else before that, Gohan or Goku, were able to control themselves. They just went on a rampage destroying everything. Let's see. And the fact that he was an anti-hero on Namek, and the fact that he always had that grudge with Goku throughout the entire series. Finally ending in that battle in the World Games with Goku versus Vegeta Round 2, which, with Majin Vegeta versus Goku Super Saiyan, that was just awesome. Vegeta, if you would have stayed a villain, you would have made it much higher on this list, but the sole fact you became an anti-hero knocks you down a few pegs. Number 6. I don't have a personality for this character yet. I might get some in the future, I don't know. But Majin Buu comes in at number 6. Specifically, Super Buu. Fat Buu, he was playful, he was funny, which, you know, I didn't mind that. Kid Buu was, I thought Kid Buu was just a terrible concept to begin with. I did not like Kid Buu. But Super Buu was awesome. He had intelligence, he had strength, and when he absorbed Gotenks for the first time, before they dissolved, he was the strongest person. He was potentially the strongest form that he ever could be at that time when he absorbed him. Because I don't think that anybody could have matched him at that point in time. He was just pretty... I think he was stronger than Kid Buu, almost. But, yeah, plus that Annihilation, you know, the move where he destroyed, like, pretty much all of civilization, that's the first time that's ever been done on Dragon Ball Z, where the planet was virtually destroyed of all life. I mean, that was epic. And I mean, Super Buu, as much as I did not like the Buu saga as a whole, Fat Buu and Super Buu came out on top. I thought that they were actually pretty good characters. Super Buu, I thought, was just an amazing villain. And honestly, I think it should have ended there. I think Kid Buu was just dragging it on, in my opinion. Alright, number 5. We have the leader of the Ginyu Force himself, Captain Ginyu. The sole reason this guy ranks this high is that body switch ability. That body switch ability was epic. Goku had him beat. There was no way that Captain Ginyu could match Goku's strength. But when he activated that body switch ability, if he could figure out how to access Goku's power, he would have effectively just ended the entire series right there. But yeah, Captain Ginyu, that body switch ability was awesome. And being the leader of the Ginyu Force, one of my favorite sub-villains in all of anime, is an epic bonus as well. Plus, you know, that... and then being turned into a frog, that was kind of silly, but whatever. Here's the character that I'm going to have to defend the hardest on my list. And I don't quite know why he makes it this high. I've always had a fascination with this character. And I'm going to kind of explain it to you. Number 4, we have Frieza's father, spoilers, King Cold. I don't have a personality of him because I think they've only ever made the deck, which I've never got, the ultra rare version, which way expensive, and I think they did one in a subset in World Games, but I can't remember off the top of my head. King Cold. This guy could have had so much potential if Trunks wouldn't have killed him. I still think, you know, he's the ruler of the Galactic Empire, of Frieza's Empire. He is stronger than Frieza. I was getting ready, I was getting pumped to see this guy in action. And I still think that a movie in Trunks' timeline, when Trunks did not go back to the past to destroy him, and Goku was supposedly made it down to Earth and had to fend off both him and Frieza, I think that could be an epic movie. I would love to see it done, just to see King Cold's true power. I would assume that Goku would probably instant transmission them to a distant planet, that's why they wouldn't destroy Earth and his friends, but I don't know. Let's see. But King Cold, I guess the big thing with me is he never got a chance to show his powers. I would have loved to see him at a more evenly matched opponent than Super Saiyan Trunks, because Trunks is just, manhandling them. And I would love to see, just to see how much stronger he is than Frieza in a fair fight. I guess my big thing is he just had he had potential, but he was pretty much just he was just a Yamcha, pretty much. Alright. Now, I'm going to be cheating here a little bit, but I kind of had to group these two together. Number 3 spots go to both Android 17 and Android 18. I would put Android 17 more than 18, but I'm going to explain my reasons. These two were actually really awesome to have as villains, because, they were... even though they were androids, they were the most human villains that Dragon Ball Z had to offer, if that makes sense. Because they actually wanted to have fun and destroy stuff at the same time. So they actually, if you've seen the history of Trunks movie, they rode on roller coasters, they went, they did rides at a amusement park. They drove a truck. A truck. They drove a truck for like 10 episodes. And then they got bored and they're like, okay, let's not drive this truck anymore. But yeah. And I say 17 more than 18 because 18 did become a hero, a good guy toward the end, or in the Buu saga, but she's up here this side because she's one of the only female villains in Dragon Ball Z that I can remember, except for the Snake Way Princess, Demon Prince, snake thing that was just weird. And Android 17 because they were just, in my opinion, they were a lot of fun. They were fun characters. And even though, like I said, even though they were androids, they were actually the most human villains that Dragon Ball Z had to offer, which I find funny. And 17, he also, in GT, he had Super 17, but that's beside the point. And the fact that they're brother sister, I had to put them in the same spot. So, but yeah, that's number 3. Number 2 is Cell, Perfect Cell to be exact. This is a guy that is the culmination of all the Z Warriors' cells. Basically, if you combine them all, this is what they would be. He had he had the Saiyan abilities, Namekian abilities, the Yamcha dying ability. He had it all. And this is what a villain should be. He came from the future, which that part I didn't quite agree with, but he came from the future. He brought up he was the ultimate bad guy of the Android Cell saga. He was the subcreation of Dr. Gero. He brought upon Super Saiyan level 2 for the first time in the series, which was epic. And but he also had that mentality of wanted to fight the strongest opponent. He didn't just want to simply blow up the world. He wanted to fight the opponents and then destroy the world after he claimed victory as being the strongest the planet had to offer. And then he assumingly would probably go from planet to planet doing the same thing until he found out that he either got beaten or he was the last person standing in the universe. And the fact that he could survive with just one cell of him remaining, which, that's also an amazing feature of him. And he also had that pretty cool self-destruct feature, which he could survive when he activated it, which that was pretty cool if he was going to lose. And I would also say that he just, he had some of the best fights in the series. And he also had some of the best dialogue in the series, too. So that's what puts Cell at number 2 for me. Now, before I reveal my number 1, which is probably obvious by now, I want to list 2 honorable mentions. The first one being Android 20, Dr. Gero. This guy brought upon the entire Android saga, Cell saga. So it was, he created all the androids, which was awesome because I love 17, 18, and Cell, but not 19. I despise 19. And he also brought upon, and he also had a grudge from Dragon Ball into Dragon Ball Z against Goku for destroying the Red Ribbon Army, which I think is just awesome that they brought elements from Dragon Ball into Dragon Ball Z. And the fact that he turned himself into an android is also pretty cool, to actually make himself relevant and to fight compared to just staying in his lab and controlling them. So yeah, this will put Android 20, or Dr. Gero, at an honorable mention. And the other honorable mention is Napa. The only reason he's an honorable mention is Dragon Ball Abridged. If it wasn't for that, honestly, I think people would mostly forget about Napa. I don't think people would really remember Napa. I think they'd just be like, oh, he was the guy that got killed, right? Yeah, Napa is pretty much a very forgettable character until Dragon Ball Abridged was made, and he had some of the most memorable quotes, some of the funniest lines. And it's kind of funny that Dragon Ball Abridged actually brought an irrelevant character to the spotlight, and it's probably one of the best standouts of the show. Alright, ready for number one? I think it's pretty obvious who it is at this point in time. From my favorite arc, my favorite villain, and I got 2 cards to represent him, we got Frieza. The reason I like Frieza so much is because he's a ruthless villain that literally will do anything it takes to get what he wants. But he doesn't like to get his own hands dirty until it's absolutely necessary. And this guy is so ruthless that he literally killed Krillin in cold blood just because he could. Which in turn turned one of the best moments of Dragon Ball Z history, probably my favorite moment, when Goku went Super Saiyan for the first time. That build-up, that legendary battle, or that legendary, Saiyan that was all shrouded in mystery, that was supposed to come once every millennia, finally happened, and Frieza was the guy that caused it. Not only that, but Frieza is the captain of the... not captain. The controller of the Ginyu Force, which 3 of them made my top 10 list, and he is the and he has a federation that expands many, many solar systems and galaxies, which is pretty awesome to think, that he has henchmen throughout many, many planets. And obviously the Resurrection Frieza movie is probably one of those henchmen that was left over from all the after, one of the henchmen that were left over, and he probably summons him back because he wants Frieza to come back after being dead for however many years. Not only that, but Frieza was the first villain to go into multiple transformations in the show, and it was the first villain to actually bring out the true power of Goku, which I thought was epic at the time, and I still think it's epic. And that is why Frieza is my number 1 character in Dragon Ball Z history. If you guys like this top 10, please rate, comment, subscribe if you want to. If you guys would like to see more, just post saying, hey, I'd like to see maybe like a top 10 Dragon Ball Z heroes, or top 10 worst Dragon Ball Z characters, because if you guys are interested, I'd like to do a top 10 for those too. And this has been Booster Box Buster with something completely different. A top 10 of my favorite Dragon Ball Z villains. And this is me and Mr. Piccolo. Yeah, what do you want? Signing out.